Welcome to Graphic Talks 360. This is our online interview program brought to you by Graphic Business and Graphic News Plus app. You can download the Graphic app on any iOS or Android tablet or phone or laptop computer and read our brands. That's the Graphic Business, Daily Graphic, Graphic Sports, Graphic Showbiz, The Mirror, and the Junior Graphic. Today, our guest is here to talk about Tier 1 pension scheme. Let me give you a little brief background about my guest. He attended one of the institutes I would want to be. In fact, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he was awarded the Bachelor of Science degree, Master of Science, Engineer, and Master of Science and Engineering, and then Doctor of Science degrees in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Please welcome Dr. John Ofori-Tinkran, the Director General of SSNIT.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If I look at your background, sir, I see you had your doctorate in science and electrical engineering and computer science. How come you are now the Director General handling, pensions?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to good morning to all your viewers. Yes, you know, as for education, it's supposed to be a means to an end. I think that when you go to school and you learn, you basically learn a set of principles, skills that when you go out to the workplace, you apply these principles. So it's not exactly what you learn in school that you go and practice per se. As you go out into the workforce, new things come up, things that you were not taught in school. And if you've got a good foundation, then you should be versatile enough to be able to apply it. So yes, I studied electrical engineering and computer science. I used to build electric cars in my previous life. That was what I did my doctorate thesis in. So a lot of the electric cars that you see today, we were building them, designing them in the 1990s.
Wow.
That's when we're doing that research.
Wow.
But you see, in the field of engineering, the principles that you study are applicable to many different areas. So when I left academia, I left the engineering field industry. I took a stint on Wall Street to work in the financial environment. But at the time, this was in the 90s, mid-90s. That was when personal computers were becoming mainstream. And even in the markets, on the various exchanges, that was when electronic trade data was becoming widely available. So I went there to basically apply. People wanted, a lot of investment managers wanted people with scientific background and engineering background to design trading programs for them to be able to make better investment decisions, basically to use the computer to help them make those decisions. So when I went to Wall Street, I was basically applying engineering principles, but this time to financial markets. So fast forward, I did some work. I worked for AIG, in the capital markets. I did a bit of insurance. And at some point, you get to a point where you say that, I have to come home to help my own country.
Sure.
If you get all this knowledge, well, your people can use it. So I came home, I think, in 2006, and I've been around since then. And then, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency the President, won the election, and thought that maybe I was a good pair of hands that he could use. So asked me to come and do this. And this is what I've been doing since 2017.
Wow, that's interesting. Can you walk us through a bit about pensions and what SSNIT does, just to educate our viewers a bit?
Right. Okay, so pensions, what is a pension? A pension is basically something that you get after you are not actively working, right? So when you get to a point where you've left active service, there has to be a stream of income that you rely on to live. Now, these pensions are not supposed to be basically the thing that you are going to be using to build your house, or you are going to be using to be paying your children's school fees or whatever. That's the money that you are going to use to live on, and maybe, you know, to entertain yourself and so on and so forth. So it is supposed to be that income which is going to keep you until the good Lord calls you home, right? Now, that presupposes also, that basically implies that whilst you were in active service, you took care of all the things that you needed to take care of. Probably if you wanted to build a house, you probably got your little house. You took care of your children are older, so that's not what, you know, their school fees have been paid and so on and so forth. So it is actually a fraction of your income, right? It cannot be more than what you were earning when you were in active service.
Okay.
It makes sense, right?
Sure.
It's going to be a fraction of your income when you were gainfully employed.
If you say fraction, what percentage are you looking at?
Oh, it varies from depending on it varies from person to person.
Okay.
But the point I want to make is that you cannot expect to go on pension and expect to be paid more.
So let's say if I earn 10,000 a month, when I go on pension, I'm not going to get the same thing.
Clearly not.
Okay.
Right. So you are not a pension system all around the world is not designed to pay you more than when you were actually working. Right. It makes sense, right? When you are working, that's when you get your most.
So what if I was contributing more?
If you are contributing
more. In terms of looking at the structure of my salary, if I were contributing, I decided to contribute more.
So let me get back to I think I was laying a foundation for to get into the specifics of what we do. So what I was trying to say is to lay the foundation that normally a pension system pays you less, gives you less money than when you were in active service, right? Because it's meant to cater for a certain kind of expenditure. Okay. Now, SSNIT, what do? We provide a pension system for Ghanaian workers, all Ghanaian workers, right? So what does that mean? Just for emphasis, it is not only for government, people who work for the government or public sector workers. A lot of people think, when they think of SSNIT, SSNIT is for government workers. I'm sure you probably heard that kind of narrative before.
So the Makola woman can also pay pensions.
Okay, so let me, exactly. Then, so it's for all workers in Ghana. So public sector workers, yes. Private sector workers, yes. If you work for EcoBank, if you work for, Nanasari and Sons, you are also entitled to join that pension scheme. Okay. And then if you work for yourself, right?
Oh, the
if you are self-employed, right? You can also contribute to this pension scheme, right? So we are there to serve all Ghanaian workers. Now, ours is a contributory scheme. What does that mean? It means that it is not a gratuity. Right? It's not like you come and you work for your employer, and then when you are leaving, your employer says, "Take, this is ex gratia."
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It is not a gratuity. Okay. In the past, there used to be some government pensions, right, which was sort of a gratuity. It used to be called a Cap 30, where it is not contributory. The employee doesn't put in anything. When you are leaving, then you get a gratuity. No. Ours is a contributory scheme. And what that means is that whilst you are working, you pay certain premiums, so to speak. We call it contributions. Okay. Right? And those contributions serve to ensure the salaries on which you are making those contributions.
Okay.
So we are insuring it for the future, so that when you go on pension, you can come and claim. So basically, what you bring to us to insure, that is what is going to determine when you go on pension. What you're going to get is going to be a reflection of what you brought to us. So like you were asking the question, if you contribute more, we are there to ensure all occupational income. So any income that you are getting, which is work related,
okay,
you are qualified to declare it to us and pay the requisite premiums on that. Once you do that, all that income, subject to a certain maximum, will be insured, so that in the future, if you need to come and claim, then your calculations will reflect all those incomes that you declare to us. Have I made myself a bit clear?
I get it. I'll come to that, to those details a bit later. But yes, how has it been like working here at SSNIT over the past 3 years?
Well, it's been challenging and fulfilling. Yeah, challenging because it's a human institution. It always comes with its challenges. And then, of course, when you are dealing with money and when you are dealing with things such as pensions where, people depends on it. I mean, we pay over 220,000 people every month. And if we are not there, they are not going to eat. So you have to make sure that you are managing properly, and you are basically fighting for the interest of your stakeholders and make sure that you are delivering the goods. So that's challenging. Fulfilling in the sense that when you are able to achieve certain things, which seem difficult, but you are successful in making progress, you can look back and say, hey, I've done something good for somebody, and that somebody's future is a little brighter today than it was yesterday. So I think in broad strokes, that's an answer to your question.
You mentioned some challenges. Can you walk us through some of it?
Yes, okay. So I came here in 2017. In 2017, if you scan the newspapers, SSNIT didn't have a good name. We were being bashed all the time. And I think it was being triggered by certain ICT systems that we had inherited that people thought were too expensive and that it could have been done better. People felt that, SSNIT, the service that we delivered to our stakeholders was left a lot to be desired. I mean, people didn't want to contribute to SSNIT because they say that if you give them your money, even the wahala you have to go through to get your money back, when you have to make a claim, it's just so horrendous that, you are better off not even going to SSNIT, right? I had workers who were being, when they wear their Friday wear in the trotro, in the bars, and people see them working as, oh, SSNIT for, those are, look at them, the thieves and all that stuff. So worker morale was a bit down. The institution was not being perceived as, delivering on the goods. People thought that we were wasteful. And so all the good things that we do, all the good purpose that we serve within the economy was being, it was kind of being thrown out, like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So we needed to rebuild the institution to regain a credible image, right? Where people would feel that their monies are safe with us. Because as for money, when you are giving your money out, you want to make sure that where you are putting in your money is safe and it's going to be well looked after.
Sure.
So we had all these things going on, and we had to confront it head on and get a message there, explain to people that this is what we do, this is what is in it for you, that you are shortchanging yourself if you don't come and join, because we are there for you. I think once you could get that, proposition out there and get people to understand and let them also know that to come and do business with us is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Then, you could get people to have confidence in the institution again. I think by and large, that's what we've tried to do. And I think we've been, I would say, a little bit successful or quite successful in doing a bit of that.
So in your 3 years, you admit that you've been able to achieve your vision? For
Yes, not all of it, but let me tell you some of them. Like, for example, one of the problems that people always had was, how do I get my money out of SSNIT, right? Do I need to go and hire a contractor, a middleman? Do I need to know some big man, and so on and so forth? It is so opaque that I don't even know how much I'm supposed to get. So we've done quite a bit on that front. So for example, I think it used to take about 9 weeks or so in 2016 if you applied for a pension in order to get paid.
Okay.
Today, in about 2 weeks or less, you can get your pensions applications processed and you can get paid, and you don't have to know a big man or a middleman or a contractor, right? I think that now, in the past, when you were a SSNIT contributor, you kind of had no idea, or many people didn't have a good idea of whether their contributions are even getting paid, and on what salaries is being paid on. And so they were a bit in the dark in this whole long journey to retirement, only to get a sticker shock at the end when they're expecting to get this much and they get that much. So for the first time in SSNIT's history, in line with trying to digitize and go on with the times, we've sent electronic statements of accounts to members. We push them via email and text messages to people so that they know at least what their contributions look like, right? So that if there are gaps in the statement where they are working and the employer is not remitting their contributions to us, at least they can see it and alert us and give us the leads to be able to go and rectify those things for them. So now we're being very transparent. You can go on the website and reliably look at, pull your statements.
Your own statement.
Yes.
Okay.
So that we've been able to do.
Have you thought of having access to your news at any time and anywhere? Graphic Communication is giving you the opportunity to have news not only in hard copy but also in a digital form. Yes, you can have access to news at all times and even before they reach the newsstands. Simply download the Graphic News Plus from Google Play Store on your Android and App Store on your iOS device and get your digital news from your favorite daily graphic, Graphic Business, The Mirror, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports. Download your Graphic News Plus now and choose your preferred package daily, weekly, monthly, and annually, and access free news on various interest areas as well. Visit us on graphic.com.gh for further information. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news.
In terms of trying to get people to get a better understanding about what we do, we are very active on new media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think in 2017, we probably only have about 15,000 followers. Today we have over 400,000 followers and growing.
Wow.
And we actually transact a lot more business in terms of inquiries and stuff in new media than we will do in, say, people making a phone call or coming to our offices, for example, right? So that service delivery has changed, right? Then in terms of taking good care of people's monies, right? One thing that we've done, which I think it's very simple, but the results, the impact is huge, is the one about deleting ghost names, right? It's a very simple. Our current pension scheme says that when you are 75, and in the old one it was 72 and above, if the good Lord calls you home, then SSNIT doesn't have any further obligations towards you or your family or your survivors, right? But before that, if you, in your untimely death, there is some residual pension that will be paid to your survivors. But after 72 under the old law or 75 under the new law, we don't have any obligations. Now the thing is, we send these pension payments out every month, right? Straight to the bank account, every month. It's like clockwork, it goes, right? So if you are above 72 or above 75 and you pass away, if we do not know that you've passed away, we will just keep on sending, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because we have no way of knowing, right? And if the survivors who are there, if they know that after 72 or 75, they have nothing else to get from us, then it's in their interest not to tell us that you're gone. So every month, they will take the ATM card and go to the bank and go and, it's normal. So what we did was to have a system in place where we say that at least every year, if you're above those ages, you have to come and authenticate yourself biometrically. You have to put your finger, take your live fingerprint, and that tells us that you're alive.
You can do in any
yes,
of
you can do it in any of our
branches.
branches. Right?
Nationwide.
Right, nationwide. And in fact, if you cannot if for some reason you cannot leave your house, you are sick or whatever, and you call us, we will come to you. We'll bring a mobile kit to your place and authenticate you.
So to a large extent, I would say that you've been able to eliminate the ghost names?
I think so. I mean,
completely?
We have, but every day that passes, somebody crosses 72 or somebody crosses 75. Right? So they can cross 72 or cross 75 the next day and maybe pass away. Right? But we do these mandatory checks once a year. So we could have a dead period of about a year where somebody is gone and we don't know because they don't report, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But at least we know that you cannot be dead for more than 1 year and we wouldn't catch it. And that exercise alone saved us to date about, I think it's about 130 million Ghana cedis since we started.
How long has that been?
That's about just about 3 years ago.
Wow.
Right? And
that's a lot of money.
And this is money that would have been paying out, right, to illegitimate claimants. And this goes to make the scheme a little bit stronger, right? Because what we do have with our contributors and pensioners is a contract. A defined benefit scheme is a contract. It says that once you sign on, this is what you are entitled to, and that's what you're going to get. So the onus is on us to ensure that we keep our house in order and make sure that we have enough funds and enough reserve to be able to meet these payments as they come every month. And so far, we've been delivering like clockwork.
Doc, there's one funny thing people keep talking about. In fact, contributors to the scheme or those who want to do it but are reluctant because of what they hear, is about they not getting what they contributed. They think they don't get enough of what they contributed. What do you think accounts for this?
I think that preposition is wrong. They do get what they contributed and even more. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes. They do get what they contributed and more. Why do I say that? I say that because, first of all, let's just start with the law that guides us, right? We are a creature of statute. So basically, I don't determine what you get, and neither does any of your cameramen here determine. And nobody at SSNIT determines that.
Okay.
What you get is legislated by law, okay? So, and that's why it's called a defined benefit scheme. It says that the benefits are defined. And you, as long as you meet the requirements as required, which is defined at the beginning, you are going to get these set of benefits, right? The question then you have to ask is, are those benefits compared with their contributions, is it generous enough, right? Okay, right. And that, I would say yes. Why do I say that? I just did, I think last year, right, I was just thinking about this question, why people say that they don't get enough and all that stuff. So I asked the question, if you were to take the contributions that people make, right, those contributions, and you put it in a secure investment, and secure is important because we are on a long journey, at least 15 years. Some people contribute as much as, 35 years, right? So you need to have an investment that is secure over that long period of time. And that's why secure is important. It cannot be a fly-by-night investment. The one that is here today, tomorrow is not there. And I'm not going to mention names because I know you've seen so many of them come and go, right? And they promise very high returns.
Sure.
But they are not there tomorrow. So it's not suitable for this kind of thing that we are trying to do.
Okay.
Having said that, so now, so if you put in a secure investment, then at the end, when you retire, if we look at what you would get and then compare it to what you will get under SSNIT, how do those two things compare? You see what I'm saying? I think that's a fair enough comparison to make. If I can put my contributions, okay, in a secure investment for that long period and look at what I'll get at the end. Then I look at, if I contribute to SSNIT, qualify for pension, right? And look at what SSNIT will give me till I die, right? At the point of retirement, if you try to compare the value that SSNIT offers versus the value that you got from your investment, how does it compare? I think that is fair enough comparison to make, right? Sure. And the analysis shows that people get at least twice and more. When I say at least twice, it means twice or more. Some people will get maybe 5 times or even 6 times or 7 times more than what they contributed plus interest when they put it in a secure investment. Not the raw contribution. The raw contribution there, that's not a lot, right? Okay. But those raw contributions, invest them securely. And what does that mean? So, for example, if you bought treasury bills along, it's secure, right?
Yes.
Compounding it until you retire, right? That's secure. That one, it's not fly by night. It's going to be there,
sure,
right? Then you compare it to what SSNIT will give you, right, when you retire and, all those payments. You compare them. You find out that you probably get at least twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, depending on what your contributions look like, than what we would have gotten if you had just gone ahead and bought treasury bills. That's compelling, isn't it? Okay?
Yes.
And if you're an individual and you are contributing, let's say, 30 CDs, 40 CDs, 50 CDs a month, it's very difficult to go in the market and buy treasury bills for those small amounts. You know that?
Sure.
So you yourself saying, okay, if I'm going to do it myself, you're not really well suited to do that, right? So it's better to join the SSNIT scheme, get it all pulled up, let it be sort of taken care of on your behalf. And on top of that, you're going to get at least twice or 3 times or 4 times better. So that is the comparison that has to be made. The thing that people always the argument they try to make, or the false comparison they want to try to make, they focus on the adequacy issue. The adequacy issue is, I contributed for this long.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much I'm getting now. It is not enough for me to live on or to pay my expenses. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not enough. That is the argument people make. The argument they make is not a one-to-one comparison. It's more of an adequacy issue. It's not enough. Right? And I think that's where things get lost in translation. So when you focus on the adequacy issue, then you come and you deal with that at the point where you cannot do anything about it, because at that point you are already retired, right? And so then they would badmouth the scheme, all because of their own doings, right? Why do I say because of their own doings? I was telling you at the beginning that the contributions and the benefits are defined. So right from day one, when you start today, you know what you are going to get. So the roadmap is there. So if you know that if I put in this is what I'm going to get, then there's going to be no surprises. And if you convince yourself, as I've tried to convince you now, that what you are getting here is actually better than what you could have gotten over the long term on your own, then at least now you know that you have a structure that offers value. It is your job is to play within that structure and let it benefit you. There are people today who are earning 50,000 Ghana cedis a month on pension. There are people today earning 60,000, people earning over 70,000, people earning over 20,000. Now, for those people, what can you say? Are you saying then that those people, it is not enough for them? Right? Nobody in this country and in this world, nobody will say that their money is enough. But what I'm saying is that within the structure, it is possible to get those high pensions. And those high pensions, the reason you get them is because you insured very high, some salaries that are high, right? So that, for me, it's the system is not broken. It is what you are putting in the system.
So how true is it that some companies connive with the workers so that they pay low pensions because of their contribution, from the corporate level, so that they contribute very low?
Yes.
How true is that? Is that assertion?
So it is true. Okay, I wouldn't say that it is widespread or anything, because it's just anecdotal evidence. But it is true that, you see, the current structure is such that you, the employee, the employer is supposed to deduct, let's say, 5.5% of the employee's basic salary. And I use the word basic, and I want to emphasize that. And then the employer is supposed to add, out of company funds, 13% to that. All right? So that's the cost to the employer. And then remit, and out of that, they remit 13.5% of that total to SSNIT. 2.5% of that goes to NHIS, because we provide NHIS benefit for SSNIT contributors.
Sure.
And then there is 5% of it that goes to the tier 2. Okay. But the point I'm making here is that whatever the employee puts in, the employer is supposed to put in that 13%. So 5%, 13%. So if you are an employer, an unscrupulous employer, who doesn't want to pay that extra matching funds, right? Then you will say, oh, let me, for the ones that I am obliged to match, let's minimize that as small as possible. And then if there are any excess that I need to give you, let me give you that in the form of allowances, for example.
Okay.
Outside the basic, right? So let me give you all the excess compensation outside the basic, because that's for that one. I can get away with not insuring that, right? Okay. So I can say that, okay, I'll structure your compensation package such that, let's say I'm supposed to pay you 5,000 Ghana cedis a month, right? I can structure your compensation package such that I'll give you 1,000 as basic salary. Then I'll give you the other 4,000 as part of some kind of allowances, you know, housing allowance, transportation allowance, you know, lunch allowance, you see what I'm saying? All kinds of clothing allowance, okay? So you are living on 5,000, okay? To all intents and purposes, that's your lifestyle today. It's based on 5,000. But for purposes of pension, you are only insuring 1,000.
1,000.
And for us at SSNIT, we don't know that you are living on 5,000. We see what you come to show us, right? So all the information that we see on which contributions are paid are people's basic salaries. Now, ask yourself the question, why is it that people don't want to go on pension? You know that when people are about to go, they will do everything they can to want to stay there, right?
The number of years.
Right? Why? If you are supposed to go on pension and you can relax and you get paid, right? You would like to go, right? What happens then is that they look at this proposition. You are living on, your lifestyle now is on 5,000. And they look at the fact that 4,000 of that is just going to disappear. Because if you are not working, you're not getting all those allowances, right? So 4,000 is going to disappear. Boom. He or she, you insured only 1,000. And under our current scheme, the maximum, percentage of your salary, of the insured that you can get, is about 60%. I think at the beginning you were trying to get to a little bit there, but
sure.
It's about 60%, right? So at best, you are going to go home getting 60% of 1,000. That's what, 600 Ghana cedis. 60% of 1,600. Sure. So you're going to be, so instead of getting 1,000 Ghana cedis a month as basic salary, which is coming to you, for getting up and working every day, we're going to say, go sit at home, relax, don't do anything. We'll give you 600 Ghana cedis a month, starting. And every year we'll increase it for you. But starting, go sit at home, don't bother coming to work. We'll give you 600, right? It's a good proposition, isn't it? Because, you're 1,000, you're getting 1,000 for getting up every day, going back, transportation, back and forth, right? And now we're saying, go home, relax. You've served us well. We'll give you 600. That's supposed to be good. And by the way, the 600 every year will increase it for you. But then, when you look at it, you say, I don't like this proposition. Why is that? Because there's some 4,000 somewhere which is disappearing. Right? So all of a sudden, you're going to go from living on 5,000 a month to living on 600. You see? That's where the problem is.
That's where the problem is.
That's where the problem is.
Doc, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the dreaded issue of past credit. Stay tuned.